A quieter mind. All day, your brain runs on a chemical accelerator. It keeps you sharp, reactive, and switched on. Useful at 9 a.m., destructive at midnight. That accelerator doesn't automatically turn off when you lie down. Deep inside, your brain cells are tiny receptor switches that tend to stay overactive at night. Magnesium sits on those switches and makes them harder to overfire. Not sedating them, not shutting them down, just removing the foot from the gas pedal. When that happens, the brain activity drops. The mental pileup clears. Thoughts are slower, quieter, further apart. This matters because sleep can't be forced. It has to be approached. Your brain needs to downshift from active mode to quiet mode first, and if it stays too stimulated, that transition never happens. You just lie there, exhausted and awake. Magnesium removes the stimulation, keeping you from the threshold, not pushing you into sleep, just clearing the road to it. Calm signaling. At night, GABA is supposed to naturally rise. That's a built-in part of your sleep transition. But modern life erodes that response. Screens keep neurons firing, stress keeps cortisol elevated, and the calm signal arrives but doesn't land. It knocks but nobody answers. GABA is your brain's primary calm signal. When it rises properly, nerve cells stop firing so rapidly. Muscles soften, thoughts lose their grip. When it's weak, everything feels slightly too loud, slightly too sharp, like a room where someone left all the lights on. Magnesium doesn't flood your brain with more GABA. It makes your brain actually respond to the GABA already there. Think of it this way. The brake pedal is connected, the fluid is in the line, but the grip is worn. Magnesium restores that grip. The same signal now slows the system with real authority. The tight mental buzz behind your forehead softens. The compulsive need to keep thinking loses its pull. Your breath slows before you even notice it happening. That's not drowsiness. That's your calming system finally doing its job at full strength. Dimmed stress response. Around midnight, your stress system should be quiet. But for most people, it isn't. Cortisol, the hormone designed to wake you up in the morning, stays slightly elevated through the night. Not dramatically, just enough. Enough to make sleep fragile, shallow, and easy to break. You fall asleep. Then your eyes open at 2 a.m. for no clear reason. Your mind feels switched on. Your body feels ready. Nothing happened. But something inside you decided it was time to be alert again. That's cortisol. And it's firing when it shouldn't be. Your brain controls cortisol through a pathway called the HPA axis, a chain of signals that runs from the brain down to the adrenal glands. When that pathway is unstable, the stress response becomes hair trigger. Small disturbances become wake-up calls. Rest becomes conditional. Magnesium stabilizes that pathway. When levels are adequate, the signals moving through the HPA axis become less reactive. The threshold for triggering a cortisol spike rises. Your nervous system stops treating the middle of the night like a threat it needs to monitor. It doesn't feel dramatic, it feels consistent. You stop waking up at 2:17 a.m. with no idea why your heart is beating faster. Less early morning tension before your alarm goes off. Less of that feeling of being subtly on edge when you should be resting. Magnesium doesn't force your stress system offline. It just reminds it that the day is over. Full body release. When magnesium is low, the release signal weakens. Calcium keeps firing. Muscles stay partially contracted without any instruction to do so. That low-grade physical tension becomes background noise your brain never stops receiving. Your jaw stays tight. Your shoulders hover slightly raised. Your hands never fully open. None of it feels dramatic. But your nervous system reads it as alertness. A tense body feeds the brain steady input. Heart rate runs a little higher. Breathing stays shallow. The system remains in a state of readiness. Magnesium restores the balance. Muscles rely on two signals. Calcium contracts. Magnesium releases. When magnesium levels are adequate, that release signal regains strength. Contraction stops when it's supposed to stop. The shift is physical. Your jaw unclenches. Your shoulders drop without you lowering them. Your grip loosens. Electrical signaling in the heart steadies as well. Rhythm becomes more even through the night. Fewer subtle spikes. When muscle tension lowers, the brain receives a clear message. The environment is stable. From that signal, deeper sleep becomes easier to maintain. Smoother sleep timing. Your body doesn't just switch off because you're exhausted. It needs a biological green light. That signal is melatonin, and magnesium is one of the cofactors that helps fire it on time. Deep inside your brain is a tiny cluster of cells running a 24-hour clock. As daylight fades, it starts a chain reaction, converting serotonin into melatonin through a series of enzyme-driven steps. When that chain runs cleanly, melatonin rises on schedule. Your body temperature drops, your systems power down, sleep arrives like it's supposed to. Those enzymes require magnesium to work efficiently. When levels are low, melatonin production can lag or weaken. The timing signal loses strength. Magnesium supports that conversion, so melatonin rises when it should. The sleep signal aligns with your natural tiredness. You lie down. Sleep follows without delay. Magnesium doesn't create a new rhythm. It supports the one already built into you. Upgraded deep sleep. Falling asleep is the easy part to talk about, but what happens after is where the real story is. Most people assume that if they're unconscious, they're recovering. But that's not true. Not really. There's a specific stage of sleep your brain has to reach and stay in for the night to actually count. It's called deep sleep, delta territory. And if you're not getting enough of it, you can sleep 8 hours and still wake up feeling like you got 4. This is the stage where your brain waves slow to their lowest frequency, where growth hormone floods your system and repairs tissue, where emotional stress from the day gets processed and filed away instead of carried into tomorrow, where memory consolidates, where your body does the work it simply cannot do while you're awake. And here's the problem. Deep sleep is fragile. Your neurons are still firing during this stage through tiny electrical shifts. If cellular excitability is too high, your brain pops out of deep sleep at the slightest disturbance. A sound, a temperature change, a shift in heart rhythm. You don't fully wake up, but you surface just enough to break the cycle. These are called micro-awakenings. You won't remember them, but you will feel them the next morning. Magnesium stabilizes those electrical shifts. With balanced mineral levels, neurons stop overreacting to small disturbances. Slow-wave activity becomes deeper and more consistent. The brain stops surfacing and stays down in the recovery zone where the real work happens. The difference shows up the moment your alarm goes off. Not just less groggy, clearer, steadier, less emotionally raw, like the night actually finished what it started. Magnesium doesn't give you more hours. It makes the hours you already have finally worth something. Clearer mornings. Most people accept morning grogginess as a fixed feature of their life. The slow start, the heavy head, the 10 minutes of just existing before you can actually function. This is what fragmented, low-quality sleep feels like from the other side. When deep sleep stays intact through the night, your brain completes its repair cycle. Memory consolidates, stress chemistry resets. Neural activity stabilizes at a level that makes waking up feel like a clean start rather than an interruption. Magnesium regulates cortisol timing. Cortisol is supposed to rise closer to morning. That's what creates natural alertness. But when it's been spiking randomly through the night, that morning rise loses its authority. You wake up already spent. Stable overnight levels let that rise happen exactly when it should. Your eyes adjust faster. Your thoughts line up quicker. Your mood isn't fighting you before the day has even started. Sleep inertia shortens because deep sleep wasn't constantly interrupted. Mental fog clears faster because your brain spent the night actually recovering instead of just surviving until morning. The fine print. Before you order the biggest bottle you can find, stop. The difference between magnesium working and magnesium backfiring comes down to 3 things: form, dose, and timing. Form. Magnesium oxide is the cheapest and most common version on the shelf. It's also the one your body absorbs least. Most of it never leaves your gut. Glycinate absorbs significantly better and is the go-to for sleep and nervous system support. Threonate is the form most studied for crossing into brain tissue and influencing brain function directly. Dose. Magnesium is a regulator, not a booster. Exceed the threshold and you don't get deeper sleep. You get cramps and a night spent in the bathroom. More is not better. Consistency across days and weeks matters far more than megadosing. Timing, too late and you're up at 3 a.m. for the wrong reasons. With a heavy meal and absorption slows. Find the window and stick to it. Magnesium is cleared through the kidneys. If clearance is impaired, levels can build. That can affect heart rhythm and blood pressure. Medical supervision becomes important in that case. Magnesium is one lever in the sleep system. In the next video, we break down all of brain nutrition,